Hey there guys, in my previous video I told that I'll be giving a detailed video on how I did that speed modeling of the sword. So we start by first adding the background image, that is the image of the sword that we have to make. You just set the view and select the image that you want to make as the background. Okay, now as I said earlier, it's in the top view. Now I'm going to try to flip the sword so that it's vertical. Okay, now that's ready. The main thing that you have to understand while trying to create a two-dimensional image into a three-dimensional object is that you have to add the meshes, that is the basic shapes that we are using, such that they are equivalent to the shape that we are trying to achieve. So here you see the handle of the blade or handle of the sword is, as you know, a cylinder. So we will start by adding the cylinder here. Okay, now rotating on the x-axis, adjusting so that it's at a better location, and adjusting its size and all. Yeah, this you see this same technique is same technique is used for every shapes or everything that you're trying to make, be it a sword or be it a character or anything. You just try to add the shape that is most significant to that 3D object, that object you're trying to achieve. So the next steps will be the next some means will be type of boring, for since I'll be just selecting the edges and I'll be just extruding it and making it such that it's equivalent to the shape of the image that I'm doing here. So just sit back. You can even do this video or do the same thing while you are watching this video. Since it's gonna take some time, you can just add an image that you want to make it as a 3D model. Just add it in your Blender screen and start doing this. Okay, selecting the box selecting and doing that box selecting by, if any one of you don't know how to do that, you can do box selecting by by B, on pressing B, and then using left click you can draw the box and select the area that you want to select. Extruding by using E and resizing by using S. Just repeat these same steps over and over until you get the complete image. Something I just went out of shape on there. Yep. No, that I think that's better here. While extruding, be sure that you are extruding in the correct axis. That is, when you normally when you extrude, it will be the direction will be in normal to the face that you are extruding. But you can even set an other axis by just pressing the axis. That is, if you want to extrude in X axis, just press X, or Y, just press Y, or Z, just press Z. And if you want to extrude in two axes, that is in two dimensions, that so that you only want to extrude in the Z, X and Y axis but don't want to go in the Z axis, just press Shift plus Z. If you press Shift plus Z, you can extrude. When you do that, what Shift plus Z or Shift plus X does is, whatever axis that you are pressing with along with Shift, that axis is negated from the set of axes you can maneuver from. Okay, now this is looking good. I just rename this. It's not important that you rename the different regions, but when you're doing some major bigger projects, and when you're trying to explain the project, or when you're trying to share those projects with others, if you had already previously named the different parts, it will be easier for them to understand the different regions of the project. So it's good. So the next part is going to be the blade region of the sword. So as you see, I won't be using a cylinder but instead a cube here, because a cube better suits to be the portion of the blade, and it can rest, and the rest portion is like your imagination. Whatever you can imagine, you can make. That's the beauty of Blender. Okay, so adjusting the size, the okay, now that's better. Now I'll be adding two cuts here, because these two cuts will be the areas from where those two leaf-like projections will be coming out. To do those leaf-like projections, what I'll do is I'll just make these two cuts and go into face selection mode. I'm going to select these faces, and then I'll extrude them. Because when you do box selection, there's that entire area on the side will be selected, but you only need that face to be selected. So you can just manually select that face. The rest steps are just basic steps that you have to do. You can even speed up these parts of the video. I'll be just adjusting the mesh so that it looks equivalent to the sword that I'm making. You can just speed up this portion of the video to the end. Okay, now that portion is complete. Selecting that face here, I'll extrude that face so that it becomes the blade of the sword. Just extrude them and just resize so that it's equivalent to the picture that we're using. Also, there's another feature in Blender that is similar. While we are doing this, I'll just say you another point that there's another feature in Blender where Blender enables you to import images into a project. That is, if you go to the add-ons section of the user preferences, you can add an add-on called as images as planes. Just search for images as planes in the add-on section and you can see that. Just activate that. Then when you are trying to import, in the import section of the file, you can see that there's a new option called images as planes. This option allows you to import the images as planes in your project. So the thing about the importing these images is that when you are importing these images, you can, they'll be just like the plane that you are adding. They're just like a mesh. You can subdivide those and then you can build on those. The best thing is that these planes will already be having the material, that is the colors and different images that are there, and we won't be having to manually add those colors and images. Yeah, and we are almost at the end tip of the sword here. Okay, now the sword is almost done. What remains are some of the minor details that are to be done. Just decreasing its thickness so that it's more like a blade rather than being blunt. As I said earlier, a blade of the sword is nothing but a cube that is having very small thickness. So what I am trying to do here is, first I selected the entire blade and reduced size in the Z axis. Then I am gradually deselecting the different areas of the blade from the base onwards, so that it having a gradually decreasing thickness from the base to the top end. This means that the base area, in the base region, the blade will be wider, and at the ends the blade will be very thinner. That means it becomes more sharper. Just okay, now the next part we have to, okay, as you can see, the basic image of a basic shape of a sword is done, almost done. The next part is that we will be trying to give them textures and minor details and materials to them. I'll hide those unnecessary regions, and while I'll be working on the blade here. As you see, currently the blade is nothing but a plain thin cube, but in the image there's a groove cut in the middle that is cutting through the middle of the blade. So I'll be trying to include that groove also, but while rendering, if you want to be able to see those grooves, you should have to adjust the lighting such that the grooves are having a are casting shadows to their sides so that they are visible. So adding cuts and cuts here. Okay, the basic shape of the groove is almost done. If any of you are having any kinds of doubt, although I am using very simple keyboard shortcuts, if any of you didn't get any of the keyboard shortcuts that I am using, I am already displaying all the keyboard shortcuts on the lower left corner. And now I am going to select the regions with the groove here. After selecting that groove, I'll just bring down the size in the Z axis such that they goes down goes into the mesh there and create a small cut. What I just did now is called enabling proportional editing. Proportional editing allows you to edit the mesh such that the editing is that editing that region of the mesh is also going to have an have a change. It's also going to show a change in the rest of the mesh. That is, if you don't enable this proportional editing, it will be like moving it will be like moving a face to the left or to forward. You will see that only that face is moving forward, but when you enable proportional editing, that face will move also. The 2 or 3 faces connected with that face will also be moving. You can change the area of effect of proportional editing by scrolling up and down. By you just, as you see saw earlier, there was a circle. That circle is the area of effect that the proportional editing has. So you can increase or decrease the size of the circle by scrolling up and down, which in effect reduces or increases the area effect it has. So our sword is almost done here. The next thing that's left to do is to give them materials. So some of the materials that I am using for this video is like some of the materials, like I'll be using materials like galvanized iron and all. These materials I got from God while googling them. These are all pre-made or ready-made materials that I got from a website called Blender Mada. I'll add the link to that website in the description of the video. Whenever you are trying to add materials, just make sure that you assign the material, like assigning multiple materials in the same mesh. Just make sure that after selecting the mesh and creating the material, you click assign, because unless you assign, that material will be created for the entire mesh. So once you assign, that material will be added only to the region of the mesh that you have selected. Also keep in mind that the first material that you create will automatically be given for the entire mesh. So what I did was, as you saw, is that I created two meshes, then I select, and then after creating those both meshes, I individually assigned the different regions of the mesh. Now I'll append some of the materials that I got from the website. This is a library that I made. Some of the materials that I collected online, some of the materials that I made myself, and I just collected some of those materials so that they will be useful in the future. So you can the usefulness is that once you are done, once you have created some materials by yourselves or some of your friends, then you can just append those materials while you're working in Blender with your project, so that you can use those materials for your work. You won't have to like make them once more from the scratch. You can just reuse the materials that you have already made or that your friends have made. I just append some of these materials so that I can check which one of these will be better suited for the mesh. I think a darker red, that is some more brownish kind of red will be much better. I'm trying to create some kind of leather, and so a brownish red will be much better. Just open node editor and I'm just tweaking the different properties so that it looks as much as I want. Like here you can change the some of the nodes in node editor that are very useful. Is one of them is bump mapping. By using bump mapping you can, like, okay, I will give you an example for that. Suppose you're making for a floor, an image of the project that you're making for the floor of the room or something while doing some kind of architecture blender. So the floor or any such surfaces will be having so many cracks and crevices and some rough regions, right? So what bump mapping does is that when you give a normal map to the bump, you can increase or decrease the bumps in this floor so that you get a much realistic look to the regions. There are many other nodes also in Blender in the node editor, like other thing road, yeah, color, RGB color ramp, and normal map, UV mapping. There are large number of nodes in Blender. The best thing about node editor is that unlike using the preset shaders, you can tweak those preset shaders so that those look just like you want them in the project. Now I'll be adding the materials for the blade region. Where did this sphere come from? I think it. Yeah. You see, it already looks like a very good sword here. The only thing left is to give some materials for the blade. You can either use if you don't have any kind of preset, or if you don't have any if you don't have any some kind of materials, you can just go to node editor and add principled shader. Principled shader is a very good shader that's available in Cycles render. Principled BSDF contains so many tools like metallic. You can directly change the property of a mesh into metallic and non-metallic just by the use of a slider. Just check that node. It will be very useful. As for now, I'll be using some of the materials that I already have with me. Yep. I now just have to make sure that there's enough lighting. Why I added a plane here is that it's just to give a mirror there. I'm kind of creating a mirror by making the top portion of the plane, giving the plane a glass material, and then giving the bottom portion of the plane some kind of chrome or metallic material, just like in the real world mirror that we are using. Because in the mirrors that we are using also, those are just plain glasses with the back side of those glasses coated with zinc or some other materials. And just like that, I am just coating the back side of the plane with a metallic substance so that it reflects back the light coming to it. So what will happen here is that this plane is gonna act like a mirror here, and is going to reflect the image of the sword on it, so that it looks somewhat gives a somewhat a better cooler look. Going into rendered view, you can see that the reflection the sword is making on the surface of the mirror is already giving it a better look. Now and give the output image. I'll also show some of the other code pictures of the same sword that I got with some combination of other materials also. So this is the rendered output. You can see the reflection the sword is making on the mirror and all, and how good it looks. I also tried experimenting by changing the base of the handle into a glass and change the color of the sword into some kind of a fiery orange. This is the result I got. So thanks guys for watching, and if you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to my channel.